Are you afraid of ghosts? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Alita. My books are behind you. And we are going to have another episode of 101 horror books to read before you're murdered. I think I'm going to start calling them Are You Afraid of Insert whatever we will be reading about. Clearly, we will be reading about ghosts in this vlog. Apparently, Jellybean is afraid of ghosts. He just ran out of the room. If there are ghosts, what do they want? Are they evil? Are they here to exact revenge, justified or not, to take care of unfinished business that was interrupted by a violent death, or because they're prevented from resting by the living? And are their places haunted by the echoes of those who lived and died in them? Introduction to Echoes. Interesting. Remember the sleepover party game, Truth or Dare? One time at my friend Mara's overnight birthday party, we played it after her parents said it was time for lights out. As you always did, like, me too, girl. The truth-telling was silly and the dares were harmless until one girl dared us all to play Bloody Mary in the bathroom. Bleep got serious real quick. Did I mention Mara lived in a haunted house? Her family chose willingly to live in our small town's historically preserved hospital. There was no chance in HE double hockey sticks I was going to participate in conjuring up a legendary evil spirit in a haunted house that was already known for its ghost stories. It's important for me to make some distinctions about different kinds of ghosts. At my friend's house, people talked about hearing a baby crying in the room that used to be the maternity ward, or seeing someone on the staircase. Those are your garden variety ghosts that are relatively harmless. But there are also poltergeists. These restless entities can make physical contact with objects or people. They can open doors, move furniture, break glass, and maybe even injure people. Dangerous, menacing. For me, it's all terrifying. I don't want to wake up and see a ghost in my bedroom and wonder if it's just an apparition or if it has the ability to harm me. So all ghosts are scary and should be considered threatening. I don't want to encounter them in real life, but I do want to read about them. It's enjoyable to watch from a safe distance what could happen to fictional people when they encounter a vengeful poltergeist. HE double hockey sticks bent on destroying the lives of the living. Afterward, the book gets shelved and you get to go about your ghost-free existence. Unless, of course, the nightmare fuel lingers and you wind up sleeping with one eye open and the light on. You'll have to read these recommendations to find out. For the ghost vlog, or reading all the books with ghosts in them, there are only 4 books recommended that have ghosts in them, and 2 of them I have either already read or already attempted to read and then DNF'd. So let's talk for a moment. In the last vlog where I was like reading all the haunted house books, I attempted to read a couple of books that I had previously DNF'd because they were recommended in 101 books to read before you're murdered. And I still ended up hating them. So, going forward, we are going to trust old Alita. If she DNF'd a book, it's for a good reason. And we can talk about those books, or yeah, we can talk about both books that are talked about in here and why I DNF'd one of them, but I'm not going to obtain that book again just to force myself to read something that I wasn't enjoying. So, I guess that's a great segue into the first book that has ghosts in it. This is White Horse by Erica T. Worth. And I DNF'd this book when it first came out. I think it was a Book of the Month choice one year. Yeah, in 2022. I picked it for Book of the Month, and I tried to read it not once, not even twice, but 3 times. And each time I couldn't get past page like 50. And I'm not even gonna read this about why she recommends it. Like, I'm sure some people love it. For me, it was very, very boring. And nothing happened. You just follow this man who has been working at the White Horse, which is a bar. And he wants to buy his own bar, or try to buy the White Horse bar. I'm not entirely sure. It was unclear. With starting different horror novels, I've come to realize that I really like horror novellas, and I really like horror novels that have a good plot that moves the story forward. And White Horse was really just about this man trying to buy this bar, and it was very much all in his head. And I've come to the realization that that is not the kind of horror that I like. And I did not connect with this character. I didn't really like him, and I didn't care at all. So that one has been DNF'd. It was DNF'd, like I said, a couple years ago, but we're just gonna be okay with that and move on. I'm also gonna write that in here because I've been trying to write my ratings and everything in the book. So I guess that what I'm saying is that when we're done with this project, I just have to keep this book forever because it's gonna have all of my thoughts, and no one wants that in their books. I don't know, maybe. But I have also decided, I'm not gonna lie to you, I read the first chapter of both of the books that I have not yet read, and the one that I was really liking the writing style of was When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. I don't know for sure what this is about because I just barely finished chapter 1. So I'm in chapter 2 now, but I believe that this is a horror novel in which you're on a plantation and this woman wants to get married on this plantation, but her husband to be is of colored, and he doesn't want to get married at a plantation where, you know, seemingly where they had slaves and, you know, all the history with that. It made him very uncomfortable, and his bride-to-be is like, no, it'll be fun. They actually make you dress up, and it's like we're actually living in that time, and he's not with it. So, I mean, he's got points, and I do not think that his bride-to-be is being very nice. But I don't know. Like I said, I still don't know what it's about. I'm just going by things that I've heard. So I will probably update you more with When the Reckoning comes as I finish it. So then we can talk about the other book. I didn't DNF the other one. I just have already read it. So we will talk about that in the next update. So I'm listening to When the Reckoning Comes still. And so I'm almost halfway, but not quite. So there's a scene, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but just know that it involves creepy crawlies. And like, I'm already creeped out today because, well, not creeped out. I just don't like mice. And there was one, and it was gross. So there was a mouse. And it was this whole ordeal thing. It was bad. It was, but like, I'm over it. It was just a big resulting thing. And then there was the scene in When the Reckoning Comes that is about like ants and gross. I'm gonna go check my mail and talk to you a little bit, maybe. So, When the Reckoning Comes is my kind of horror, maybe. I'm very much so enjoying it, which says a lot because, this book is gross for so many different reasons. Reason number 1 is that reason number 1 is that it faces real life scary things, not like your worst fear, like heights or shenanigans like that, but like real life, like think real world problems like racism and slavery and things like that. So you are on this plantation where this woman is having her wedding, and she invited someone who she used to be close with. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. She knows I'm about, yeah, okay. But someone that she used to be close with who is of color. And that's where Myra comes in. So I don't know how I feel about Myra. Like, as the main character, she's kind of but it's a horror novel, so I don't really need to love the main character. So I don't really have that much of an issue with it. But I don't really love her either. And, okay, so we're following the plantation, and there's like a lot of stuff that happened many years ago that was in the heart of racism. like in the midst of it. And for some reason, I really like those books, especially those horror novels that discuss like racism and abortion and women's rights and things like that, you know, where we have come so far, but in a lot of ways, like, I'm going to go off on a tangent, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stop myself before I say anything else. But there's also, like, this added layer of creep factor. I'm so sorry. Of creep factor. Because of, like, nasty, gross things that are actually happening today. So you get a mixture of, like, historical horror and, like, contemporary horror that's happening today. There's bugs, there's gross things, and honestly, in a lot of ways, there are still so many racist things going on in this plantation, around this plantation, surrounding this plantation. But that's a whole nother thing. Who wants to get married on a plantation? Like, that seems weird to me. But I am really generally enjoying this book. It's horrifying and gives me the ick and is very creepy. But I think that's the whole point of this book. So I'm just along for the ride right now. I don't really know what else is going to happen. Oh, but I finally got to the point. I also got to the part, I kind of feel like it being in the 101 books you should read before you're murdered, or you need to read before you're murdered. I feel like, in a way, she kind of gave a spoiler, but I'm still gonna give you that same spoiler, so sorry, not sorry. But in that book, it's recommended as a ghost story, and like the ghost part doesn't actually happen until like a third into the book. I don't know how many pages that is. I'm reading it on audiobook, but if I keep enjoying it a lot, like I have been, then I'm just gonna have to buy a copy off Pango. So I probably won't update you again until I have finished this book, but so far so good. I'm loving it. I'm like 55% into When the Reckoning Comes by Latanya McQueen. So I thought I would read what Mother Whore said about this. So, hush through and listen. If you're quiet, you can hear their whispers in the water, calling to those left behind. Hush, and you can hear them lurking, waiting for the day they can make their return. Latanya McQueen follows in the footsteps of Toni Morrison's Beloved, infusing social commentary about the horrors of slavery with a haunting fictional ghost story. And I love both aspects. I think I might be more intrigued by the horrors of slavery and how they treated people, slaves on the plantation. But I still don't understand who would want to get married on a plantation. A young woman named Mira returns to the town she grew up in to attend the wedding of a childhood friend. The venue is a tobacco plantation, the Woodsman House, which is tied with Mira's personal history. She is shocked to learn that the plantation has been renovated into a tourist attraction, complete with African Americans and rules of slaves. It's uncomfortable to visualize the era of enslavement romanticized in a modern public venue. As the wedding ceremony draws near, Mira is increasingly haunted by horrible graphic visions of the woodsmen. Ooh. I enjoyed how the book sustained a level of tension throughout by promoting the reader to consider which is worse, the evil that mankind inflicts on one another or the reckoning coming, as suggested by the title. It's the perfect blend of haunted house horror tropes with the pacing of a thriller. And maybe that's why I'm enjoying it, because it's not like any of the other literary haunted house horror novels that I've read. I'll link that reading vlog over here though. It does read more like a thriller. And I'm not sure how I feel about the flashbacks or about our main character. She's kind of blah, but reading horror novels, I don't really think that you're intended to love every character that you encounter. So it's not like it's really messing with me too much. But I'm gonna listen to a little bit more before I go to bed. And I will update you tomorrow. Good night. We are on our last break of PD. So it's like PD from home. So I'm really just wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. Like, I just wanted to be comfortable. But I'm like 64% of the way through when the reckoning comes. So not a lot more has happened since I last talked to you. It says I have 3 hours left, but that's at regular speed. I'm listening to it at like, I've been listening at 1.5, but it is really slow. So I might kick it up to 1.75 at the end of the day when I get a chance to finish it. I have like an hour left of professional development today, and then tomorrow is all day professional development again. Yay! I'm still in my professional development. Can you hold for like 30 minutes? it is the next day, and I finally finished When the Reckoning Comes by Tanya McQueen. I liked it. It's the kind of horror that I really enjoy because, like, it's about real life problems like racism and you're at this plantation where there used to be slaves, but the only people that really go there, because it's like a tourist attraction, 90% of the people that are there are like rich white people, and they are not good friends. They are not good friends. And it was a wild ride. It was wild because I don't think that I talked to you after this part, but the white people in this book were harvesting the colored people in this book. And like, ew. And like, there are some very disturbing scenes in this book. This book is really disturbing, and I don't know. It's probably gonna be a 4-star for me because really Mira annoyed me more than anything. And like, I know that especially with horror and thriller books, I don't really need to like the main character, but I don't know, she actively annoyed me for reasons, and you know, that's okay, I guess. But I don't know, I did really like her and Jesse though, so I don't know, even though she annoyed me a little bit, I don't think it really she annoyed me as much as I thought she did. It was just wild. Oh man, it was not a good time. It really was. It really was not a good time. There was everything that is wrong with society in today's world was wrong with this book. But I've said it a million times, like, those hard to read things, those hard to talk about things are the things that need to be talked about, the things that need to be read. And I think LaTanya McQueen did it. I've never read from this author before, but I definitely would be interested in reading more from her. That was just... some of those scenes are going to stay with me forever. And if you've read When the Reckoning Comes and you say that those scenes are not going to stay with you, then what is wrong with you? I really don't know what else to say without giving spoilers. So, you know what? I'm going to sit here, I'm going to spoil the whole book, and then editing Alita will... probably mute me or something, but holy moly. So editing Alita, popping in for one quick second because I also realized that I did not talk about The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. I'm not going to read this in particular because I've already read this book and I ended up giving it 2 stars, and I do not agree with the recommendation, so I'm not going to really tell you why Mother Whore agrees with this recommendation, or like why she wants this recommendation. You'll have to go get your own copy of 101 books, horror books to read before you're murdered. But I'm going to quickly go through The Hacienda. Everyone was talking about how amazing this is, and I found it to be quite slow and quite boring, which I think is something that they do on purpose, especially in horror novels. So I'm very, very, very picky about my horror novels. Actually, I'm just picky about everything, but specifically I found that horror novels, they're either a real big hit with me because the plot really moves, or I get bored because I'm stuck in the same person's head. And like usually they're pretty unreliable and not kind. They're not a main character that I like. This main character was fine. This book was fine. I think I just went into it with really high expectations because everyone has read this book and everyone was talking about it. It kind of gives me like Mexican Gothic vibes, which is weird because I actually DNF'd Mexican Gothic a long time ago. But I did finish this. It was like a 2 or 2.5 star. It was fine. I know that the problem is me, not the book, and a lot of people love this book. For some reason, it just did not work for me. I'm going to throw it back to past Alita, and she's going to wrap up this reading vlog. So I know that I technically have one more ghost novel to read, and that we only read one in this reading vlog, and then we talked about some other ones that I've already previously read. So go me. I did really enjoy When the Reckoning Comes. It was really good. I think I gave it 4 stars originally, but it's more of a 5-star book for me. But I'm going to end this reading vlog here because I've been reading the other ghost book for like a week and a half, and I'm like 20 pages in only. So I feel like I need a small break from it. So don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to my channel if you are new around here, where we are always doing bookish things. Bye.